I am Geoffrey in Broken Crescent 2.3. This is the previous version of Broken Crescent, not the latest one. Nonetheless, it's modded. It was the version I was working on when we were modding for version 2.4. The modding is not, however, on the mechanics of the game so far. I will go into that later. It's mostly cosmetic stuff. The game is more or less, in terms of the mechanics, as it was. And I will be playing the Khwarezm faction, and I'm doing that because I want to compare how the Mongols were and how the Mongols are behaving now, because we have an issue with the Mongol behavior in the game. There was always an issue, but it remains and may be more severe now. So I will be playing, as I said, the Khwarezm because they have to deal with the Mongols early on. The Khwarezm region has seen the rise and fall of many kingdoms and empires and seems to be a spawning ground for them. That's not quite true, but anyway, from the 3rd century BC, when the ancient king of the Khwarezm lands offered to take Alexander the Great's armies north over the Caspian against his own enemies, Alexander politely refused the offer. But it does give an indication of how powerful that old kingdom was. The times since then have seen these ancient lands a part of other empires such as the Sassanids, and never able to lead themselves to glory until now. The Khwarezm Shadum is a relative newcomer to the political scene, founded in by the slave Anustigin Gar Chai, this is spelled error there, as a vassalship of the Seljuk Turks, after the area was taken from the Ghaznavid Empire, but it always threatened to break itself free. However, all it took was a lucky turn of events which led to the Khwarezmian independence in 1141. Whatever Khwarezmian independence might mean, this was not just a single people or ethnic group or anything. The Seljuk Turks suffered a horrific defeat by the hands of the Karahitai and were forced to bend the knee to new masters, causing what loyalty to the Seljuks the Khwarezmians had to disappear. Soon after this, the Khwarezm Shah had its independence, but nowhere to expand to until Sultan Ahmed Sanjar was killed in 1156. The Seljuks collapsed into chaos, paving the way for a new superpower to emerge in the region. It will take a wise and brave ruler to take the riotous Seljuk territories, who are by no means a broken power and have the honor of an empire to defend. There is a chance of expanding along every point of the compass, but the Seljuks will want their wayward vassalship to submit to their dominance once more, and other greedy powers are eyeing up this rich region of fertile land. I'm not sure if the areas of Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan are fertile, but at least there is the silk trade going through these lands, so I would say they are potentially rich in terms of trade. A difficult prospect for the new Shah, but careful political maneuvering and well-timed strikes should see the new power here able to rule for as long as the sun shines. That's quite amazing. Not even the Mongols managed that. So a powerful selection of heavy Cataphract cavalry is one of their strengths. They have, I believe, 2 Cataphract units, so I wouldn't say a powerful selection. They have some horse archers, but they're mostly mercenaries, at least early in the game. They can only get them as mercenaries. They cannot train or have Cataphract horse archers or any horse archers trained in barracks, in stables. And they have excellent dynamite forces. Again, these are only available late in the game. They have mediocre early infantry at best. That's also not quite true, because early on they get the Sogdian assault infantry, which is one of the best units in the game, infantry units, so it's not mediocre. In any case, it could be that the faction was modded quite a bit, probably, in the various versions, so this description does no longer corresponds to reality. So, let's start this campaign. And I will not go into great detail over the entire campaign. I will just focus on a couple of things that I want to say. So I will skip over large numbers of turns. So I'll start the beginning. I think I'll start in game turn 56 or so, or 35 or something like that. That will be the first thing to show you. So in terms of how this campaign will run, how the game is set up at the moment, as I said, it uses the campaign script for Broken Crescent 2.3, but with the Khwarezm and Dimis added to it. So it has that aspect. So it's not pure Broken Crescent 2.3. It has the Khwarezm and Dimis submod added. I had made some changes to the campaign script to buff the Mongols a little bit and to give different king spurs to the different levels for the different factions, whether they were human control or campaign AI factions and so on. However, these changes are not here, and they never found their way, in fact, into version 2.4. So for the rest, it's mostly cosmetic changes, except for the AI that's more aggressive, the way I've made it, and it attacks more. We are playing on very hard. What we're seeing here is very hard, and the first battle is in the year 45, game 45, so game turn 45, in 1196 AD. Khiva is attacked by the Kipchaks. Here's the Kipchak army. Is a mix of units, some cavalry, some heavy units, swordsmen, a very nice mix of units. And we're defending with fewer units. We also have early force, just one cavalry unit under Captain Halil. It's a skirmishing cavalry, some Kipchak archers.
Show no fear to the infidel.
I would say here the enemy is much better, has a much better army, but we have the human player on our side. So Captain Halil is coming to help us. This is the main plaza, and we have one company, one battery of catapults, and some light spearmen, medium spearmen. They're not light, they're okay spearmen. There are 3 units of these, so they're going to form a U-shape. There are some archers behind them, and there is a unit of Sogdian axe assault infantry on the opposite side of this U-shape, and on this side, they're not quite visible yet, there are some Tajik swordsmen. This is the cavalry unit that I was talking about. It's a missile cavalry unit. They are javeliners, Kipchak javeliners, that's Cuman javeliners. And they are coming to the relief of the garrison. They've come from Gurganj, I think, one of the other settlements.
The ladders have reached the walls. Defend your homes and women. Let them go no further.
Okay, so the Cuman army has put ladders on the walls. Here's the Cuman army, they're over here. And here are their ladders. They're also coming in with a siege drum and a siege tower. The rest of the army is hanging back. There they are, very nice. It's a wonderful view. I love this sunset. This sky is wonderful, very nicely done. Very beautiful colors, reddish sunset colors. So here's the enemy general, the Cuban general with his bodyguard. He has a bodyguard of horse archers.
Our cunning foe has the great one. Those cursed vipers are at our gates with a ram.
Those cursed vipers. So here are the assaulting units. They have put ladders on the right side. The siege drum is here at the center. And we have pulled all our force back into the main plaza. So the Cumans are already on the walls.
Forward!
So the Khiva is now coming down from the wall.
Here news comes unlooked for. The enemy have taken our walls.
As soon as they come out of this little gate, then the walls are theirs. So we've lost the gateway. But the siege ram keeps banging, so here's again the Khiva army in the sunset. And this unit of swordsmen or axemen that's come down from the walls is now heading for the main plaza where our army is arrayed. There's another wonderful view of this settlement. Very nicely done. So we start firing arrows at them, and so they got hit by the arrows and went back a little bit, but then they made their mind to continue. Wonderful scenery, wonderful view. This is just so nice, it's almost poetic. For some reason they are stuck there, got a little bit buggy. Some of their men are stuck somewhere in the back, so they've gone into slow motion. And our catapult has scored a critical hit. They've lost about a dozen of their comrades there. So here's our U-shape in the main plaza with that wonderful mosque in the background. That mosque is amazing. Very nicely done. So the swordsmen have reached our U-shape in the plaza. We have spearmen on every side, and then they are backed up by some other units. The enemy swordsmen are so spread out that in trying to aim at them, we're aiming at the middle of this spread out formation, hitting nobody. So this is the okay, the enemy ram has breached the gate. So this is the vanguard. This is the first half of that unit, and then the rest of their men are strung behind. And so our catapult is shooting at them, but it's shooting in the void behind this vanguard. They are really spread out. They're almost spread out along the entire street. And now some other units are coming in. Our archers are firing at someone. Yeah, some of the enemy cavalry is coming. Here's the enemy cavalry. More swordsmen have been stuck behind, going to join their comrades at the front. And this cavalry is in for a nasty surprise.
We have cut off the serpent's head. The general is slain. Let's see how these snakes fight without their head.
So we killed the enemy general, and the enemy cavalry is suddenly routing. There's a mass rout.
Oh, this general was bolder than a rooster and allowed himself to be slain in battle.
Okay, we lost also our general, but our general was just a captain. Captain knew he was a spearman, so no big deal. We have the town plaza, so we're safe. So our catapults keep hitting the enemy. We're scoring more and more great hits with the catapults. They have been funneled into this U shape, and they are so concentrated that every time the catapult scores a hit, a couple of dozen of the enemy die. Our archers keep firing arrows into this compact concentration of enemy horsemen. Unfortunately here we had some friendly fire. literally fire. We keep routing the enemy cavalry. More friendly fire. But the Cuban swordsmen, axemen doing well. And here's those javeliners. They're also armed with these clubs. And they keep fighting hit and run sort of skirmishing actions with the enemy cavalry. Here they've routed one of the enemy mounted missile units, probably missile archers. Now they're heading towards the gate to attack the rear of our enemy. However, they are so depleted by now from all these skirmishing actions that I've changed my mind. They're not going to rear end the enemy in that street. They're just going to chase down any routed units like this one, who are running for their lives.
Victory is well within our grasp. In time our foe will surely see this and lose heart.
So as I said, my main interest is to get to the Mongols because I want to test something. So all this is just because it was nice. Yeah? Just some units, some interesting action, beautiful sunset and so on. So here are Sogdian assault infantry are doing well. And here we have this Tajik swordsmen. They're called militia, but they are a very heavy unit. They're called 700 florins, and this incarnation of Broken Crescent is a traditional costing. This shows it's a almost elite unit. So these are very, very good swordsmen, even though they are called militia. So these Tajik swordsmen are now about to attack the rear of our enemy. However, the enemy, those units that were in that street, somehow worked out they were about to be attacked in the rear. They sent one of their best units to counter our threat. Very clever move by the AI. So they've sent these swordsmen, who are a very decent unit of swordsmen, to block the rear charge of our Tajik swordsmen. Our Tajik swordsmen, I think, are a little better than the Cuban unit, but the Cuban unit is decent. In the meantime, the rest of our army has marched down that street. They pushed off the remnants of the Cuban army, who were mostly missile units by now. And now they've taken the gate, and they are fighting around the gate some other unit that's resisting. So at the moment, at present, the Cumans only have 2 units still fighting in good order. There's this one and another one by the gate. And that unit by the gate has been routed finally, and now our Sogdian assault infantry are coming this way. This is the Sogdian assault infantry. This is one of the best infantry units in the game, if not the best. And they are nice. I like the way their trousers have these kind of leather sort of straps around them. I've seen these, and they are not unrealistic. They are traditional. They're real. However, in other ways, these models are not great, I have to say. Sometimes the shields are not very crisp or not very well done.
Our enemy flees before us like a herd of goats. Drive them from the battle.
Okay, we've routed the enemy. So some of these units could do with some improvement, better models, if anyone is interested. If someone could give us a little bit better models, especially for the Sogdian assault axemen. I like their trousers though, and the leather straps around their legs. I do like that.
Victory is ours. A victory both righteous and well deserved. It cannot be said otherwise.
So, we lost 338 men. It wasn't an easy battle, really, think about it. I mean, this is what you would expect in a siege battle. We were Yeah, fighting 1v1 more or less. The enemy had a lot of skirmishing cavalry, and so losing 338 men sounds like reasonably balanced in a situation like this, especially the way we fought the battle where we funneled the enemy army into one street and hit them with catapults. The Raj of Benares advanced with an army countless as the grains of the sand. One of the new quotes. This is the sort of cosmetic stuff that I put into the game.
These lands hide our forces well, Sultan.
So we took some prisoners,
The payment of
offered them up for ransom. The humans accepted.
all praise is due to Allah for granting this victory.
The voice acting is amazing. It's so lovely, so nicely done. And so here's another battle. It's 12:15 game times later, game time 58. We have a Ghorid army attacking one of our fortresses in Bukhara. So we went to war with the Ghurids at this time, or the Ghurids really attacked us.
We have chosen the time and place. Now let us choose triumph.
And Bukhara is a fortress, so we are okay. There's no huge alarm there. We can hopefully hold a fortress. Blood began to flow from the sword like rain from the clouds. So here's the Ghurid army, and here's one of the problems with the campaign balancing of the units. So the enemy is attacking almost with an army consisting entirely of mercenaries, and the only mercenaries available here were these javeliners. Very cheap, very expensive unit, but worthless. They're pushing a ram, and we've attacked them with some heavy cavalry, so they're dead meat. And the only other available unit around this area was some mounted horse archers. Not a great combination for attacking a fortress, I have to say. So, campaign balancing is an issue. If the AI hires mercenaries, and sometimes it does, it's not just a human player that hires mercenaries, and they are hugely expensive but worthless. And they're mostly missile units, cheap javeliners and some horse archers, and then it tries to attack a fortress with such units. It's hopeless. No matter how big the army is, it's hopeless. You'll see the result. And so there is some issues in this respect. It's not perfect. Campaign balancing is an issue, and this is an extreme case. As it is right now, Broken Crescent, at least the Khwarezm faction in Broken Crescent, cannot get missile infantry, missile cavalry from stables. It can only get it as mercenaries, the tribes people who are hanging around. They can recruit those mercenaries, but it cannot get its own missile cavalry. At least not yet. Not for something like 70 or 80 or 90 game turns. It cannot get its own missile cavalry, which is a little bit strange. On the other hand, these tribes people are mostly light missile units and available as mercenaries. And if the AI hires them, it's a very unbalanced army. So what we see here is the light javeliners that the AI army consists of is throwing javelins at the walls. They're hardly killing anyone. We're firing back with our heavy archers here. This is a decent unit of archers. Here we have another unit of archers. These are Parahiti archers of some sort. And we've attacked their ladders with our cavalry. We attacked their ram.
Our cunning foe has reached our walls with their siege tower. See to it, they fight only death here.
And so we routed those units. They abandoned the ladders and ram, and so now they've taken just the siege tower, and that was the plan. So they are attacking at just one point, with just javeliners, and they're going to put those javeliners on the wall and they will fight in close combat. These javeliners are armed with short spears. They're quite a worthless unit and they have no armor. So they're being massacred already before getting onto the walls. Now we only have 2 heavy units, but because they're only attacking now at one point, and that was the strategy behind what went on so far, because they're only going to attack at one point with their siege tower, we can put those units on either side, and they're going to flank anyone who is coming off that siege tower, and so the AI will be at great disadvantage. And so we're pulling our archers out of the walls, and we're bringing Sogdian axemen on one side and Tajik swordsmen on this side. Unfortunately, the archers have backed out. They're taking forever to get off the wall. The enemy is now offloading their light javeliners onto the wall. We still have some archers here that are taking forever to move on. They have totally backed out. But our Sogdian axemen have already appeared here on the right, and our Tajik swordsmen on the left. And so the enemy is now flanked on both sides, and they're at great disadvantage because not only are they flanked on both sides, they have very light units, these javeliners who fight with these very short spears, and they have no chance. So here's the enemy army below. It's a very large army, but worthless. Here are the Sogdian axemen. You see how some of their shields are not very crisp, others are very nice. Some of the models are nice, but not the helmets. Helmets are not great. Also the models could be improved, although as a concept they're nice. In quality they're not great, the faces are not great, and so on. Some of them have mail around their necks, they look better. So here's the enemy army below. They're slowly coming up the siege tower, but they're attacking at just one point. And as soon as they get on the walls, they get murdered. You can see there's no room for them. As soon as they jump off the siege tower, within seconds, they're dead. Now there's a guy here trying to run off. He was slain. These unlucky mercenaries, they're jumping off one by one. A couple of guys managed to run off. They're trying to run off. The AI is trying to deploy its army along the whole length of the wall, and so some of them are running off to get to the far end of the wall. But most of them die on the way there. Some of them are managing to run off. They're doing very well. Those who try to stay near the siege tower and fight get instantly killed. Those who are running off are sometimes making it through. Here are a couple of guys. This guy has made it through. Oh, don't mind me. I'm off for a little bit of sightseeing. He really is sightseeing. He's doing nothing. Admiring the view, huh? There's another guy about to join him, and here's one of our... Where are they? Some archers, they're going back. What are they doing? Okay, so the two javeliners, the enemy javeliners, are going back. One of them is instantly slain. The other one has managed to squeeze past. Oh, don't mind me, I'm just on a morning jog. Mind your business. Don't worry about me. What is he doing? Ah, it's about a fight. Okay, that was not much of a fight. Life of a javeliner is not a great life. I think half the casualties I suffered here was from friendly fire, because you see there's fire from the towers on either side, arrow fire, and as soon as the enemy javeliners land here, they're instantly killed, and so the arrows half the time hit our old men. A fair number of casualties you see in this battle. The majority of the casualties was friendly fire from the towers. Of course, the towers are also killing enemy soldiers, a lot more enemy soldiers than ours, but nonetheless. So there's still plenty of unlucky javeliners down here. As you see, they have no body armor, and their primary weapon is a short spear. So it's about as worthless a unit as you can imagine. And of course, they've thrown all their javelins already, so they have to fight with that short spear. While we're watching the enemy javeliners being murdered, let me say again something about the setup of this campaign. The campaign script, the only changes that it has GGR and DMs added to it, nothing else. So the campaign script otherwise is the standard Broken Crescent 2.3 campaign script. The campaign AI, however, has a small change. In fact, it has more than a small change. It has two changes. One of them is that it introduces different difficulty levels. So if you play on very hard difficulty, you get the campaign difficulty you would have normally gotten. If you play, however, in the easier difficulty levels, these are easier. So this is not how normally Broken Crescent works. Although there are different campaign difficulty levels, normally in the standard Broken Crescent up to now, it doesn't matter, it's just different in name. In fact, they work all the same. However, with this campaign AI, that it's an addition of the original AI by the Grand Vizier, who was one of the original modders of Broken Crescent. I modded that a little bit. We have different behavior of the AI if you're playing on easy difficulty, normal difficulty, hard difficulty, very hard difficulty. Very hard difficulty is more or less how it was, except for one thing. The AI army is more aggressive, the AI factions rather, are more aggressive in the sense that they will attack more often. As soon as they have a decent army, they'll try to do something with it. And they don't wait until they have like 50% of your superiority in strength or something. They will try and attack with that decent army. If they have a full stack, they will try and do something with it. They do not just wait until they have 150% of the strength of your army, because if you also have a full stack, they're never going to match your army, and they're going to waste money on this worthless, just maybe mercenaries even, who cost a fortune to recruit. And so they will attack now with smaller armies. They will attack more often. They will attack actually settlements, whereas before they were never able often to attack settlements because you had strong garrisons there. So they were attacking some random patrols you had out in the desert or something. Useless, really. Very passive otherwise. Now it's not so passive. So this will be a more aggressive AI. Thus, the main significant difference in terms of mechanics. That and the addition of the GGR and Dimis submod. Otherwise, I believe it's exactly as Broken Crescent 2.3 in terms of mechanics. So we're seeing a continual slaughter of those unlucky javeliners. All the other changes I said are cosmetic, so there are some some new quotes. There are more historical names for the various factions and so on. There are a few things like that. So it's mainly as it is set up right now, as I'm playing this campaign, is more or less as the standard Broken Crescent 2.3. And I'm doing this on purpose because I want to test the Mongols. I want to see if the Mongols will attack a garrison that has full stacks in it. That has a full stack garrison. Because in the current edition of Broken Crescent version 2.4, the Mongols will not attack a settlement that has a full garrison in it. Or if they attack, they walk away next turn. That's my experience. And that's not very good. I hand modded the Mongols, but I'm not using the modded version in this gameplay. I want to see how it worked in the original version without any modding. So the enemy still has some of these unlucky javeliners at the bottom. These cost about 2.5 times what the real worth is. They cost way too much for what the real worth is. Or maybe 2 times as much, something like that. But they cost a little too much for what the real worth is. And so the AI hires these units, and then of course there is the upkeep, which is very expensive for mercenaries. And they're not really very good.
The battle appears to be running in our favor. From good tidings such as these, does victory spring forth.
Okay, these javeliners have been exhausted. They have just a couple of companies probably left. A couple of depleted companies even. So at this point the enemy has lost about 50% of its army, 55%. We've lost about 10% of our own army. And most of that 10% was caused by the enemy javeliners shooting javelins at the walls, but they were hitting mostly light units. And the rest was caused by the fighting here on this wall, and some of the casualties on the fighting here were due to friendly fire. So I've speeded up the game a little bit. Speeded up the timer, and so as it's a 2 times speed now, so the enemy is moving a little bit faster. They've brought in now some other types of javeliners. These are also relatively light javeliners, the guys in the green. These are Cuman militia javeliners. They're armed as a second weapon. They have a secondary weapon. They have a sword rather than a short spear. So they're attacking with a sword now. They are probably a little bit better in hand-to-hand combat. Here are those amazing Sogdian assault infantry, these axemen. You can see how some of the shields are of lower resolution. Others are better, some are not so good. As soon as the enemy javeliners land, they get instantly murdered. Some of them have died from the arrow fire. They've died on the siege tower. And now the last few javeliners are running off. So the enemy now is left with just horse archers, basically. And so they have no more any chance of taking this fortress. Had they broken through with a ram, it would have been a different story.
Our foe fights with horns made of clay. We are winning the battle.
I do not think we lost any of these axemen in actual fighting. We lost some of the swordsmen, but I think not a single axeman was killed. Except maybe it might have been someone killed from friendly fire, but I think nobody was actually killed. So now we're at 66% of the enemy killed, about 10% losses on our side.
Victory is well within our grasp. Time our foe will surely see this and lose heart.
So the last few javeliners are coming down the siege tower. And that was a battle. Victory.
All praise to Allah. This is a most crushing victory. Your name will live in marble and our foes in sand.
So an heroic victory. We didn't even lose 100 men. And the enemy army was destroyed. The Tajik urban militia and the Sogdian assault infantry killed about 300 men each. A heroic victory. So as I said, I will only show bits of this campaign. We caught a few of these tribesmen captive. They were released to improve our faction standing, diplomatic faction standing, and diplomatic.
Terrible sight. The enemy surrounds our walls, Sultan.
And here a Saint army is attacking Bela, which is a newly conquered settlement. My aim here is, since I'm going to have to fight the Mongols, to take parts of India. That's why I've headed east, so I can have elephants to fight the Mongols. And I've headed east in a hurry. And the settlements have skeleton garrisons of 1 or 2 units. So you see a huge empire, but each settlement has about maximum 3 units in it. So the Malikate of Sind has laid siege on Bela. We'll watch this in our next episode. Thank you for watching.